Hello everyone, with the Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, June 20, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you all like this video. I'd really appreciate it if you all get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section, but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what did that be like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we highlighted the fact today on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, as well as on our Instagram page at Weather.Jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876, that today is the first day of summer, and I suggest that you follow us on one of those social media platforms because we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So it states here today is Friday, June 20, 2025. It is the first day of summer and the longest day of the year. During summer, days are the longest and temperatures are the warmest, so stay cool with these summer tips. And we highlighted two images right here, one basically explaining why we have seasons. It states here, we experience seasons because the earth rotates on an axis that's tilted in its orbit. That 23.5 degree tilt causes the different hemispheres to be at different angles to the sun at different times of the year. So we're basically getting the brunt of the sun during the summer solstice, which was today. And we also highlighted some summer tips right here. Try to beat the heat because the heat has just begun. It states here, drink water, stay hydrated, and don't wait until you're thirsty. Avoid peak times. Stay indoors during the hottest time of the day from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. if possible. Keep cool. Protect your skin from direct sunlight to prevent sunburn. We also have look before you lock. Never leave children or pets inside the car. Protect them from heat stroke. Wear sunscreen. Apply sunscreen before going outdoors. Reapply every 2 hours. Protect your eyes. Wear sunglasses to protect your eyes from UV rays. And seek shade. Use a tree, umbrella, or tent to protect you from the sun. So hope that you all utilize these tips to try to beat the heat this summer. On another note, we need to highlight where we're located on this map. This is the Atlantic hurricane and tropical storm activity based on data from 1944 to 2020. So it is June 20 going on to 21. We're somewhere right in here, and we can see that there's usually some kind of uptick in activity during this last quarter in June, right before we head into the latter part of the month, especially with the res, that's hurricanes and tropical storms. But clearly it doesn't seem like anything is going to be taking place for the rest of the month at all. Definitely dry conditions, a lot of sinking air, some Saharan dust keeping the atmosphere stable, if not dry air. However, in terms of the tropical and subtropical cyclone points of origin and tracks, based on data from 1851 to 2023, we can see all of these yellow dots right here across the Western Caribbean, the Gulf, the waters to the east of the US, section of the main development region. All of these yellow dots and the lines attached to them are representing where we've seen storms formulate and push off towards, and we see a lot of them across the eastern Pacific as well, to the south of Mexico, to the southwest of Central America, most of which have been pushing towards the west or the west northwest. But clearly we see a couple over here. We see one right here to the south of Jamaica, 2 of them in the southwestern Caribbean, a couple of them in the western Caribbean, many of them in the Gulf. We also see some of them across the main development region pushing towards the Caribbean. Very interesting. This time frame from June 21 to June 30 has definitely been fruitful in terms of tropical activity, but I don't think that anything is going to be taking place at all for the next week or so. However, the typical tracks, as usual for June, we know it's mainly across the Western Caribbean into the Gulf, if not off the east coast of the US, and it all makes sense that most of the yellows that represent where we've had storms formulate is across those very areas. On another note, we need to highlight what the sea surface temperature update looks like. So this map just came out on June 19, and we can definitely see all of the very warm sea surface temperatures. Anything that is above a gray shade or a white shade here, going into the yellows, oranges, up into the reds, definitely way above normal for sure. And we see a lot of that across the latitude of the Gulf, of the east coast of the US extending eastward. Very interesting. We also see a lot of that across the main development region into the Caribbean. Very interesting. Definitely way above normal. Definitely can suffice some tropical systems. We also see that we're still lacking in terms of an El Nino or a La Nina. Definitely still neutral like conditions across the eastern Pacific. And if you remember, we had neutral-like conditions when we had Hurricane Beryl, so we don't have the very warm sea surface temperatures across this area at all. That would make more tropical systems formulate, thus creating more upper-level wind shear across the Atlantic. We don't have the blues represent way below average sea surface temperatures, meaning a La Nina, so it's definitely in between. Definitely neutral-like pattern as we speak. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this actually shapes up as we head into the peak of hurricane season. And it's not only about how warm the waters are at the skin of the ocean, because we know that these warm waters are what these hurricanes fuel off of, but it's also about how warm the waters are the deeper into the ocean we go. This map is showing the ocean heat content. This is the update from today, showing all of the greens into the yellows into the oranges. All of this is deep warm water. And if we actually get a system to sit over some of this, it's just going to be churning up even more warm water for sure. So we know that if it crosses over some of this, it can definitely leave a cool wake, because that has to do with the skin of the ocean. But if it crosses over this, it's just going to be churning up even more warm water, because we can clearly see that there's a lot of warm water to go around, especially in and around the Greater Antilles, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, the Western Caribbean in general, the Eastern Gulf. Crazy warm water over there in the red. Very interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how all of this looks by the time we head into the peak month of hurricane season, September. Taking a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center's 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook, we can see that as of their latest update that just came out at 7:29 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually 6:29 p.m. Jamaica time, tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 7 days. And we can see the reason why right here. The infrared satellite imagery, the wide Atlantic satellite imagery, not really showing much of anything. That's a couple tropical waves here and there intertwined with the intertropical convergence zone. Some thunderstorms associated with the tropical that affected portion of Hispaniola today. Nothing really significant. Some leftover moisture affecting portions of the Gulf side of Mexico right here. Definitely leftovers from Hurricane Eric. And we see the moisture across the eastern Pacific basically setting the stage for what's to come regarding that area that has a chance of development within the next 7 days. I know that if something should formulate across the Atlantic, we know that the first name on the list is going to be Andrea, but boy, it doesn't look like we're going to be getting Andrea anytime soon. Very dead start to the hurricane season, but that could change as time goes on. Taking a look on the Pacific side of things, the eastern Pacific at that, we don't see any more Eric. Eric has definitely made landfall and dissipated, but we are watching this, a code orange down in here, and we saw the clouds associated with it. A lot of deep convection right here to the south of Central America. Very interesting, setting the stage for what's to come right here again to the south of Mexico. That spot definitely on a roll. But let's talk a bit about Hurricane Eric. We have a post right here from the Jamaica Gleaner stating that authorities in southern Mexico were still assessing damage and watching rising rivers Friday as rain from the remnants of Hurricane Eric dosed the region. And look at the damage that Eric caused. This is crazy. People out there assessing the damage. We also have a caption right here on the picture stating Mexico assessing damage. from Hurricane Eric as rising rivers leave at least one dead, and based on reports they're stating that it was a baby that might have died. Boy, we've been talking about these things, you know. But these are what these natural disasters do. We just have to, you know, stay prepared when these things are on their way. We even have a video right here from Volcaholic. This is one of the pages on Twitter that you need to follow if you aren't already. This caption stating, "I am 64 years old and I have never seen this." Let's see what is being highlighted in this video. I mean, look at the knee water, the flooding, the murky water right here. People lose power and homes as Hurricane Eric hit southern Mexico. It definitely got battered for sure. I'm pretty sure that whatever this man is saying is in Spanish.
I've seen it before, what happened last night.
Yep, definitely in Spanish with a British voiceover. The storm, what does this say? Let's read that caption right there. Look at the trees down, power lines down. The storm knocked over banana and palm trees, leaving farms badly damaged. As expected, it was a Category 3 hurricane when it made landfall for sure. These things are definitely expected. I'm pretty sure that there's even more footage out there on Twitter, if not on YouTube, of the extent of the damage that Hurricane Eric caused. So if you would like to see some of that, you can search on your own. However, let us focus our attention on what's to come from the other system. The code orange right here, let us zoom in and read. According to the Hurricane Center, what did they say? Let's read what they stated right now. So they've stated here, an area of low pressure is forecast to develop early next week off the coast of Central America. Environmental conditions appear conducive for some gradual development after that time, and a tropical depression could form as the system moves west-northwestward off the coast of Central America and southern Mexico. And with that, they've given the system a 0% chance of cyclone formation within the next 2 days and a 40% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. And it looks like this one is going to be remaining out to sea, thank goodness, because I'm pretty sure that Mexico cannot handle another one. And we know that if this system does get a name, the next name on the list would be Flossie. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, tropical wave is right here to the southeast of Jamaica. So we could definitely get on some of the rainfall associated with that tomorrow. For sure, we spoke about it yesterday, stating that a tropical wave is coming. It's going to be here by tomorrow for sure. More than likely, most of the rainfall, as usual, is going to be on the western side. But we could get on some rainfall across the east. Don't, keep your hopes up if you're in Clarendon or Kingston or Portmore. I know we all need the rainfall, but these tropical waves aren't really coming with a lot of rainfall at all. Only a few selected parishes, the far eastern and the far western ends, are getting the brunt of the rainfall these days. We can see the ridge of high pressure right here that we know are responsible. Well, the ridges of high pressure, one right here, that we know are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. Not to mention the numerous tropical waves. You can see a tropical wave right here across northeastern South America, another tropical wave to the east of there, and another tropical wave right here to the south of the Cabo Verde Islands. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost sunlight, we can make out all of those tropical waves that we just mentioned. Alright, so according to the surface map, there's supposed to be a tropical wave in here, a tropical wave supposed to be in here, and another tropical wave in here, and there is a tropical wave that's somewhere in here. It definitely brought some rainfall. We saw the rainfall right in here across section of the Dominican Republic. We saw the deep convection as well right here on the infrared. Look at the oranges, the reds coming into portion of the Dominican Republic. That southwesterly wind shear definitely bringing the thunderstorms into that area. Some of that could definitely take place tomorrow in Jamaica, especially on the eastern and the northern and western sides of the island. It's going to be very interesting to see all of that unfold. And we can make out not only those tropical waves, but we can see the low level flow of the clouds being steered from east to west, all courtesy of the ridges of high pressure to the north as usual. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Friday, June 20, 2025. It was stated that rainfall could have been in the forecast of parts of eastern Jamaica on Friday morning, also affecting sections of some western parishes during Friday afternoon. And we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew. And western parishes, I know we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And for the past 2 days, we've been seeing some slight shades of blues across the far eastern end, predicting rainfall for the east, but they haven't been getting in on much rainfall out there at all. Lots of trickery going on. It's mainly that afternoon rainfall out west that has been the order of the days. We get that daytime heating. And as such, a post was made on our social media platform once again, or Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter, highlighting the isolated thunder showers that took place across sections of especially western parishes. We're talking about sections of northern St. Elizabeth, sections of eastern Westmoreland, southeastern Hanover, sections of southern St. James, southwestern Trelawney might have gotten on a brief isolated thunder shower activity. Definitely in and around the cockpit country, for sure, gotten on the brunt of the isolated thunder showers at that time. And as the afternoon progressed, the visible satellite imagery right here confirming that we even got in on some across sections of northern St. Catherine, southern St. Anne, section of St. James, section of Westmoreland, section of Hanover. Definitely those areas right here gotten on the brunt of today's isolated thunder shower activity. And the infrared close-up satellite images right here confirm we saw the thunderstorms across section of St. Elizabeth. We saw the brief thunderstorms across inland areas of some central parishes, pushing off towards the west across those very areas, but nothing significant, just some isolated spots getting in on the thunderstorm activity. And if we take a look right here at the live camera from Jamaica's YouTube channel, at around 1:42 p.m. today, we can see people walking about, going about their business, people in their vehicles going about their business, all because of the great sunshine that was taking place. Fair weather for sure, windy conditions as well. You can see the school uniforms blowing in the wind. As usual, we can see the trees right here. Nothing in the way of bad weather taking place today at all. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Even the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website is confirming that the brunt of today's rainfall was across the far western end. Definitely a section of Hanover, section of Westmoreland, southern St. James, northern St. Elizabeth. That was where most of the rainfall was, the cockpit country for sure. And we definitely have some comments right here confirming what the weather was like in some of our YouTube subscribers area as well as our followers area. We have Randall Green. Good evening weather, Jamaica. Didn't have any rain in Brownstone, St. Anne. Partly cloudy now in Brownstone. We have active 4081 sitting. No rain here yet. We have on our Instagram page one Ryan__ sitting hot in Hanover. Thanks for confirming. I know you wouldn't get any rainfall today given the rainfall was mainly inland. And you said that you're closer to the coast. We have Marlon_one God_ sitting. So a tropical wave coming over Jamaica. Yes, Marlon. A tropical wave is definitely coming. It's right here to the southeast of us. But you might not get rainfall. As stated, the rainfall seems to be mainly across eastern and maybe some western parishes. We'll see all of that plays out. Fingers crossed that you get some rainfall tomorrow. Alright, so let us see what's happening right now according to the latest still image from the Weather News website. The latest still image is showing 0045 UTC, which is actually 7:45 p.m. So this just came out 11 minutes ago, considering that it's 7:56 p.m. right now. And as you can see, just some leftover high cirrus clouds in the whitish shades and the blue shades. Nothing to do with bad weather taking place. And the latest Cuban Doppler radar, the latest Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar, as well as the latest Cayman radar confirm all of this. Unfortunately, the latest Cuban Doppler radar is as of 1:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 12:50 p.m. Jamaica time. As usual, glitching out as usual. Nothing was taking place across the island at that time though. The Guantanamo Bay US Navy Doppler radar showing most of the rainfall across section of southeastern Cuba today, right here to the northwest of Guantanamo. Maybe some light isolated showers right here in the blues. especially with the upper level wind shear pushing those rain bands off towards the northeast. Nothing in the way of real rainy weather at all. The Cayman radar also confirming not really much of anything across the Cayman Islands, but the southern coastlines of sections of Cuba. You see the blues into the greens represent some light to some moderate to even some slightly heavy rainfall in the yellows. Even some isolated sprinkles right here to the west of Jamaica. Regarding the live camera right here from Sea Jamaica's YouTube channel showing the Bogwalk Gorge in St. Catherine. We don't see much of anything taking place right now. The Rio Cobra has definitely got back its color. It was a bit murky for the past couple of days. Well, not really gotten back its full color as yet. Still slightly a bit murky. It's usually greener than this, but you can still see a bit murkiness in it. But clearly, right now, people are going about their business. Definitely dry, fair weather taking place. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see about 28 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 29 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Definitely some hot evenings if these temperatures are accurate. And by about 4 a.m. on Saturday, temperature should dip down to about 26 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Saturday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Saturday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some grays and some slight yellows. That represents average to slightly above average temperatures, at least 1 degree Celsius above normal at that. And we know the average or the normal temperature for the month of June across Jamaica is around 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that's converted to degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica, that's around 32.2 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 32.2 to 33.2 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Saturday. And we're grateful that we don't see any maintenance outage advisories here from my JPS Online Twitter page. And we know that we usually have to highlight these because we know that when we have power outages somewhere across the island, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So we're grateful that there are no outages to report at all that are expected anywhere across the island. But we know we can still get outages if some crazy driver runs into a light post or whatever the case may be, God forbid. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat. If tomorrow is going to be a bit too hot for you, it states here, dress down. Wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions, and pets. Be cool, stay indoors and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest part of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of keeping hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water, even if you're not thirsty, and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. You can see a lot of dry air right here off the northeastern coast of the US. A lot of dry air across the northern portion of the North Atlantic. Dry air extending into the Bahamas, the Greater Antilles, the Eastern Caribbean, and we see the brunt of the dry air right here off the coast of Africa. We know that the dry air is responsible for keeping the atmosphere stable, making it harder for it to rain these days for sure. But what we're glad that we're seeing is a lot of blues that we see across the Gulf, across the western to the central Caribbean, across the intertropical convergence zone of the Atlantic and the eastern Pacific. A lot of blues that represent that moist air, and we want the moist air because you know that wherever we have the moist air, that's where the more clouds are located, the more rainfall is located, that we get more rainfall to keep water in our pipes. But regarding the Saharan dust forecast, so just finished June 20, heading to June 21, June 22, and June 23. We can clearly see that the Saharan dust is not really doing much. Yes, we saw some slight haze in the sky today, and this is basically all of this, the slight greens here, but nothing significant to cause that crazy hazy skies that when we look on the hills or look at the horizon or wherever, it is very low in visibility, or we don't have persons having crazy respiratory illnesses or anything like that, sinusitis. We're grateful that these days and for the next 3 days, the Saharan dust should be dwindling for sure. Not really much of anything, and we're also happy that we're not seeing that vigorous plume as represented by the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the pinks at all that we see closer to Africa right over here, pushing off towards the west. All courtesy of the ridge of high pressure to the north, sending everything from east to west. So we're glad that most of what's being sent westward is dwindling. Nothing in the way of significant Saharan dust at all. Regarding wave forecast for tomorrow, still seeing that the highest waves are right here to the north of Colombia and Panama, to the south of Hispaniola and Jamaica. Wherever we have the dark blues into the purples and the pinks, that's where the highest waves should be. That represent what we see on the key on the bottom right. That's the 2 all the way to maybe 3-meter wave height, and that's because of the winds that are expected. We can clearly see the strong easterly flow of the wind, and we see the greens, the 15 to 20 knots, and we see the yellows. That's the 25 to maybe even 30 knot winds, especially to the north of Colombia, pushing from east to west. And if we zoom in a bit on Jamaica, we can clearly see to the north of Portland 1.4 meter wave height, to the south of St. Thomas 1.8 meter wave height, to the south of Clarendon 1.2 meter wave height, north of St. Anne 1 meter wave height, north of Hanover 0.8 of a meter wave height, south of Westmoreland 0.9 of a meter wave height. That's all expected tomorrow, and that's because of the winds that are expected. We see more of an easterly flow both on the north and on the south coast, and we see that we're going to be seeing more greens. I represent what, 16 knots to the south of St. Thomas, 12 knots to the north of Portland, 14 knots to the north of Trelawney, that's 17 knots to the south of St. Elizabeth. And we also see that the least amount of wind should be across sections of western parishes, as well as inland areas of some central parishes. And with that tropical wave around us, whatever comes off of the sea from the east could bring some isolated showers, sections of Portland, maybe St. Thomas. And then the daytime heating, all of the air piling up wherever we have the least amount of wind. That's where we're going to be getting those low-level clouds becoming mid-level rain clouds. Then cumulonimbus clouds, definitely across especially western parishes. And with the upper-level winds coming in from the southwest tomorrow, look at that strong southwesterly flow, and we already saw that especially across Hispaniola today. Look at that strong southwesterly flow. Look at those upper level clouds being sheared off towards the northeast, and we had the tropical bringing some thunderstorms section of the Dominican Republic's southern coast today, and we saw where the upper level winds were shearing those cloud tops off towards the northeast, bringing more overcast skies section of especially northern parishes or northern areas. Maybe Jamaica could be in for some of that tomorrow. But regarding the actual rainfall forecast maps, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 9 a.m. Jamaica time. And what do both maps show for that time? Some blues represent rainfall across eastern St. Thomas, eastern Portland, well, eastern parishes in general. Very interesting, the Euro trying to incorporate section of central Jamaica in that. Who knows, maybe it could happen. Maybe some of that rainfall out east could push into section of some western parishes. Who knows, maybe we could get another gust front. Nobody is really sure exactly when these gust fronts, if not squalls, can happen with all of those crazy winds. So who knows, maybe we get another brunt of that. But clearly we see rainfall out east, and all of what happens in the east sometimes pushes off towards the west. So let's see if we get anything to spill into sections of some central parishes. But as of right now, it's only eastern parishes being forecasted for the blues to represent rainfall at 9 a.m. I live in the east, so I'll definitely be here to tell you if we get that rainfall. And then at around 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 2 p.m. Jamaica time, look at what both maps show. Very interesting. The Euro showing rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes, especially eastern Jamaica. We see the blues, we see the greens, we see the yellows. Crazy rainfall. Southern Clarendon, Marlon, are you going to be getting rainfall? Even see some blues across sections of Hanover. Ryan, are you going to be getting rainfall? The GFS is a bit different. Yes, the GFS is still showing that blue for rainfall across the east. The GFS is also showing rainfall more so across northern St. Andrew, northern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, northern Manchester, northern St. Elizabeth, southwestern St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, sections of Westmoreland. Will you guys be getting in on some of that rainfall? Randale, are you going to be getting on that rainfall in your part of St. Anne? Is that commenter who lives in Thorntown, St. Elizabeth, going to be getting that rainfall in her area? Let us find out. We'll see how all of this plays out. As of right now, clearly it's going to be morning rainfall for the eastern parishes, and then afternoon rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, western parishes. We'll see all of that plays out. Whatever happens, we'll definitely take it. And we can clearly see even the accumulated precipitation forecast maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that it's going to be raining somewhere in Jamaica within the next 24 hours. The Euro going all out to the rainfall across, especially the east, up to 0. Maybe 5 of an inch of rainfall or more. Even central western parishes in that, the GFS, mainly eastern and western parishes. We'll see all of this plays out. Whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted, and whatever happens, we'll definitely take it because we're in the month of June. And in Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive around 110 millimeters of rainfall for the month. And in Montego Bay's bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive at least 6.5 inches of rainfall for the month. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of June or for the entire year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website will show that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us, according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go to the next one, just 68 hours, that's the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. It's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. So we just looked at Saturday. Now it's time to look at Sunday. 12Z on Sunday is actually 7 a.m. Jamaica time, and at that time we don't see much of anything across Jamaica. Then on Sunday afternoon, look at that, we see some rainfall in the greens across central western parishes. Let us see if the GFS is showing something similar. Sunday morning, maybe some isolated showers out the far east, so we have contrast. Sunday afternoon, yes, we see that rainfall across central western parishes. Let's see what Monday morning is showing. On Monday morning, we see rainfall to our south. We see rainfall across the far eastern end. On the afternoon, or during the afternoon hours, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes on the Euro. Let's see if we have the consensus on the GFS. Monday morning, rainfall across northeastern parishes. Monday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. Looks to be that the coming week is going to be a bit wetter than this week. Very interesting. So far, Sunday and Monday looking a bit wet during the afternoon. Let's see what Tuesday morning is showing. Tuesday morning, not really much of anything, maybe some moisture to our north in the Euro. Tuesday afternoon, look at that, greens represent rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. Let's see what the GFS shows. Tuesday morning, rainfall out west, rainfall to the northeast. Tuesday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. Let us see what Wednesday morning is showing. Wednesday morning, look at the moisture across eastern Jamaica. Wednesday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Very interesting. An increase in the rainfall on Wednesday according to the Euro. Let's see if the GFS shows the same. Wednesday morning, not really much of an increase. Maybe some isolated showers out east. Wednesday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across eastern, northern, and western parishes. That's what Thursday morning is showing. On Thursday morning, we see the moisture still plaguing the waters in and around Jamaica, especially to the west of us. Thursday afternoon, don't really show much. Maybe some isolated showers out north. Then we're stopping it right here at the end of the 1 John 68 hours. But this is valid for Friday, June 27, 2025. And we see some isolated showers across the far eastern end of the island. We also see some moisture in the southwestern Caribbean. We also see something trying to spin up right here to the south of Mexico. Could that be possible? Flossy? We'll see how that plays out. The GFS for Thursday morning showing some isolated showers out east. Thursday afternoon, rainfall across central and western parishes. At the end of the 1 John 68 hours, maybe some isolated showers out east. We also see that moisture and the spin up right here to the southwest of Central America, a bit displaced. The year had it more so to the south of Mexico. Like here, GFS more so to the east of there. We also see moisture across the southwestern Caribbean. Very interesting. We'll see all of that plays out. And regarding the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that the most rainfall over the next 7 days should be wherever we have the dark reds, into the purples, into the pinks, into the peaches, into the blues. That represents 2 all the way up to 4 to 6 to 8 to 12 inches of rainfall. We're talking about a section of Northern South America into Central America. Well, other areas that are shaded in the greens, yellows, oranges, and reds up to at least an inch of rainfall, like sections of Florida, the Bahamas, the Greater Antilles, the Leeward Islands, and the Windward Islands, getting in on at least an inch of rainfall or less. We'll see all of that plays out. and whatever happens, I'll keep you posted. And regarding Jamaica's total accumulated precipitation, the Euro is still adamant that the most rainfall over the next 7 days should be across the far eastern end, up to at least 82 millimeters of rainfall expected. The GFS is adamant that the most rainfall should be across the western end, up to at least 50 millimeters expected. We'll see how that plays out. Either way, we know what usually takes place across central western Jamaica is during the afternoon, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. Alright, the visible satellite images showing we definitely had the tropical wave bringing some rainfall to the section of the Dominican Republic today. Upper level wind shear blowing those cloud tops off towards the northeast. We can see we didn't have much of anything across sections of the eastern Caribbean today. We actually take a look at the Doppler radar images in and around Puerto Rico to see what's happening around there now. Not really much of anything in and around Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, or the Leeward Islands, but earlier today we saw some rainfall affecting sections of the Dominican Republic associated with that tropical wave as expected. The Barbados radar, on the other hand, not showing much of anything across Barbados or Grenada, but we do see some isolated shores passing through sections of St. Lucia and St. Vincent. We also see some rainfall pushing through sections of, well, the waters to the south of Tobago, pushing towards Trinidad. Definitely getting in on that rainfall. The weather Doppler radar images confirming that rainfall coming into Trinidad, south to Venezuela, sections of Belize, northern Guatemala, sections of coastal Honduras, sections of the Yucatan getting on some of the action. And regarding where the brunt of the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing that we should be getting at least up to 1 inch of rainfall for sections of French Guyana, Suriname, Guyana, section of Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, while less than 1 inch of rainfall in the greens and the yellows, representing anywhere from 0.1 of an inch of rainfall up to at least 0.5 of an inch of rainfall for section of the Yucatan, section of Cuba, Florida, the Bahamas, section of Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico for sure, even sections of Guadeloupe getting in on the action, so to Dominica, Martinique, and even sections of Trinidad and Tobago. We'll see all of this plays out, and whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with this forecast, and that when they're in agreement like this, the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.